The birth of heavy metal. What up, everybody? My name's RJ the Redhead, and this is my music review channel. And I thought I'd start out with the band that basically invented, nearly almost perfected in its first couple of albums. And by the way, that perfection is what made it a genre. What importance this band has to the genre of heavy metal is unspeakably heavy in its awesomeness. So, today, everybody, we'll be talking about Black fucking Sabbath and their first album. Black Sabbath got its name from the Boris Karloff movie of the same name, a horror film, I might add. Now, the band was originally called the Polka Talk Blues Band. And if you're interested in hearing Ozzy Osbourne as a metal singer, as a blues singer, I'd look somewhere else. Because honestly, the bluesy moments on this track really don't make it, to me, the true birth of heavy metal. But just the first little planting of its seeds. Honestly, what brings this LP down is the track listing. Other than the fact that there's two different versions that are completely have some different songs on it, the first song always is Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. Considered to be the first metal song, and I have to agree with this actually. It may not be the first metal album, but it is the first metal song. Fantastic songs. The drums, I felt, could be a little bit more tribal on the first track, but that riff, that Devil's Tritone, really gets you pumped. And it's just so fucking heavy, especially in the galloping last moments. It's just amazing that this song is really what bursts heavy metal. The song itself sounds like a birth of a demon crawling in your house, at your bed. Which, by the way, is what the song describes in its lyrics. The next track is The Wizard, which is one of the more bluesy tracks. I assume, and I could be wrong about this, that this was left over from the earlier days, when they were called the Polka Talk Blues Band, formed in the late 60s, before they changed their name to Black Sabbath, probably after getting high and seeing a movie with a almost dead horror actor. Nonetheless, it has a harmonica on it, which isn't very metal. Nonetheless, this track is still groovy and swingy, but I still don't feel that it has the metal that you're looking for. Next is Wasp / Behind the Wall Sleep. And on some releases, they just smushed all these songs together, leaving like 19-minute songs and shit. But honestly, I separated them just for the sake of reviewability, if you will. Wasp and Behind the Wall Sleep, I don't understand what the Wasp part about it is. It might just be the opening riff in the beginning of the song, but honestly, the song should just be called Behind the Wall Sleep, if we're all being honest and coherent here. Which, they were high. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good song. It's got some good bouncy riffs, but it still doesn't have the heaviness you're looking for in that early metal, like that perfect mixture of type operatic vocals and the melodicness, but that classic heavy. It's not like death metal heavy. It's that classic heavy I refer to it to. That classic heavy that you just want to, instead of like bashing in with each other or moshing, you more just want to go and kind of dance to. The best track on the whole album is basically NIB. And I kind of understand why this one actually has two titles. Basically is basically just a very basic bass solo. No accompaniment, no nothing. It just starts out with the bass solo. All funky and shit. It's very funky. It doesn't even belong on a metal album unless metal's become so diversified since the 1970. What can I say? But NIB is my favorite track on this whole fucking album, dude. And it's just it's just so goddamn heavy in those first moments. And then it just drops. And it's just amazing. It's just fantastic. And I love it. Next is Evil Woman, which is shite. It is shit. Honestly, I feel that this track is just The original version had horns, was basically like a pop blues rock song by a band called Crow, which nobody remembers. I bet it sucks to be them, knowing that a more famous band that wasn't even famous at the time and didn't even have a single hit from its first album. Basically, it would have a somewhat of a hit, I believe, in Paranoid at its second album that didn't even have a hit. Would go on to be the more famous version of your top 20 song, which Crow had. But still, 70s were bitching. And I guess the Crow, they were bitching mean. So Evil Woman takes out the horns, and it's basically just not my cup of tea. And it's just so bluesy and not involved in the metal that was being birthed here on certain tracks, such as NIV and Black Sabbath itself. Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. I don't like it. I don't listen to it on the regular or anything. A Bit of a Finger and Sleeping Village is... It's probably the most experimental on the whole album, next to The Wizard. But these types of tracks feel more like shards. Like they're just going nowhere, and they're not doing anything, and it feels like they just wrote like a little poem, and then they put it next to this bouncy type of riff with a weird... like I forget the instrument that they're using on this one specifically. And, you know, it's good, and it does sound like Black Sabbath a little, but not really Black Sabbath. You know, for those who don't know, heavy metal was created by accident. Literally, Tony Iommi was working in a metal sheet factory, and he gets his fingers cut off on his last day of work. And that boss, a boss who worked at that steel mill factory, who, by the way, is pretty fucking important to history, music history, whether he knows it or not. He's probably dead. Brings him a vinyl of Django Reinhardt, who's this famous jazz guy, which, by the way, I don't know whether I'm ever going to review jazz or whatever, who, like, had his two fingers, like, burned together or ruined or some shit. And he brings him this vinyl, and he listens to it, and he learns to play guitar with his fingertips cut off. And by melting down broken bottles and bottle caps and sticking them to his fingers. I tried to learn guitar, and my fingers always hurt, and that was the one thing that was holding me back, other than just kind of laziness. It must have hurt so much on the tip of his fingers, he doesn't get enough appreciation for that. I mean, to get your fucking fingers cut off, and you see him in a little matchbox, and you're like, well, I'm fucked, I'm never going to play guitar again, I want to kill myself. And then to learn to play guitar with boiled, melted down plastic on your fucking gnaw fingertips. Must have been so painful. He doesn't even seem to mind. He's like, it's just kind of painful. He's a cool dude would seem to hang out with. I'd love to just pick his brain, especially once I get done with this full discography review. The next track is Warning. It's by the Ansler something, Doom Brothers or whatever the fuck. The original track was 3 minutes and 48 seconds, and it's really the covers that, you know, kind of take away from this album. If this album had no covers, it would be a hell of a lot shorter, and it still wouldn't be very good. But it would feel a lot more like a debate album rather than just these two add-ons, with Evil Woman sometimes not even being there, or sometimes maybe not even being there in the track listing on US and like North American and European edition LPs. But Warning is 10 minutes while the original song is 3 minutes. And it's just this long jam. This long jam that isn't even in the original. So it is worth it just to hear some nice feedback experimentation for like 25 seconds or 10, 15 seconds. And some nice soloing. But it still is like, you know, it's a cover. And the rhythm isn't Black Sabbath. The whole beat. The whole bass riff isn't Black Sabbath and all. Last track I'm going to talk about, which is last track basically in this session, or in this LP, two types or whatever, is Wicked World, which was one of the first Black Sabbath songs I ever heard. It was suggested to be by a guitar player, and it's pretty good. It's got some nice chunky riffing, and it's got some cool effects with, like, it sounds like it's playing guitar backwards in a certain middle bridge section. First time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever, but it hasn't grown on me as well. Compared to NIB and Black Sabbath and, like, behind the wall sleep. It just is not as good as I remembered it to be. So overall, this album is pretty fucking brilliant. Specifically NIB, which if you haven't listened to NIB, because you're just wondering like what is Black Sabbath, and you just went on Wikipedia and you were like, yo dude, maybe I should just check out a review of their first album. Listen to NIB and the track Black Sabbath, self-titled track, and you will understand that this is the birthplace, the fucking birthplace of heavy metal. Bye everybody. I'm gonna be doing a full discography reviews on here, so please subscribe, and see you later.